and welcome here to the HGC Crucible for North America. My name is Solid Jake. I'm here with my co-caster Kala, and we have two more teams playing in a best of 7. In fact, the final best of 7 of the weekend.
It's going to be a good one for sure. We've got No Tomorrow, and they're going to be heading up right against King's Gambit. Both of these teams, you know, to me, I really feel like this is the perfect opportunity to prove whether or not that they have just increased, again, their consistency as teams. We've seen King's Gambit go from, you know, they've been a really powerful team at the later stages of the Open Division, but during the early, parts of the Open Division, they were a little bit, wishy-washy. They weren't really at their final form yet, so I can't wait to see what they bring to us today.
It's going to be a good matchup. Let's take a look at the standings for HGC to show you why we have our teams here in the Crucible. So it's been tough for LFM and No Tomorrow when it comes to HGC throughout the season. They're sitting in that 2-12 record, and that's why they're fighting for their lives in the HGC. Coming up is King's Gambit, their opponents, which is a team with a lot of promise, Kala.
Absolutely. Like, this is a roster that has so many powerful names associated with it. And I feel like they have the potential. They really do. But are they, like, is it the, the team dynamic? Is it maybe the roles that they're on that they're not able to really, satisfy these win conditions for their team? We're not so sure yet, but I really, really feel like this is the roster that could do extremely well. I think they just need to find out what it is that's holding them back.
Well, let's actually just take a look at the overall schedule for this weekend, and we have some teams that have been held back. So far, every single HGC team has held strong and retained their spot in the league, with the Open Division teams not looking as hot as we might have thought.
Yeah, yesterday was a little bit different than I would have anticipated for sure. XD with those 2 wins. XD was a team to me that just, they absolutely dominated the Open Division, right? But one of their members, Jin, ends up leaving their team, going to No Tomorrow, actually, so we'll be casting him today. So that's kind of part of the fun story arc here. But they had some issues. Once they lost Jin, they definitely had some issues. And they weren't really in the same form that they were in when they had that player. And same with No Tomorrow. They're still having issues right now, but like I said, I really feel like all of the members that we are going to be watching today have the possibility to just be excellent HGC players.
Well, I'm actually really curious to see how they're feeling about their matchup. Are they confident in the addition to Jin? Is King's Gambit feeling good after their rise to power from the open scene in the very late stages? Let's take a look at their thoughts for the matchup.
So even though our season has been a really big disappointment overall, we're still confident going into our match against King's Gambit. We actually have a lot of best of 7 experience on the squad, and we do feel like even though King's Gambit came off a really hot stretch coming out of the open playoffs, they're still a fairly new team, and I'm not sure that they'll have the composure to take us to 7 games. I think we're pretty confident that we'll be able to still win this and keep our spot.
Going into our series with the best of 7 versus No Tomorrow, we're feeling pretty good right now. We had some really good strides and success through the playoffs, and through our about a month of scrimming, we are learning, getting better, and playing better as a team. And I think that overall, going into the series, you expect some good results from us. Preparing for the best of 7, we have been scrimming some of the HGC teams involved in the playoffs. We have taken the stuff that we've learned from those scrims, and we are going to implement it in our best of 7. We're also a huge watcher of other HGC regions. We're a big fan of Korea, mainly Tempest, and the playstyle they play. So you can see some Tempest-like drafts coming up in our series. So going into the best of 7 versus No Tomorrow, we're going to be focusing on one of the players, Jay Shriddy. We need to watch out for him because he has some insane teleportation and core clicking mechanics. We're going to make sure we go into the series and make sure we don't troll it on the core. And we're going to make sure we're going to hashtag be a monster. And in between games, we're going to make sure we listen to some DJ B-Kid in the mix to be calm and collected for every single game in the long series. And I hope to have some good games.
What just happened?
I think that was probably one of the best things I've ever watched in my entire life. But, the comments there, it basically kind of mirrors what we're saying. Like, both of these teams are very confident going up against each other. The big thing that they were discussing there was the fact that King's Gambit's not sure if, or sorry, No Tomorrow's not sure if King's Gambit can take them in a best-of-7. Do they have that longevity as a team? Are they able to persevere through this series? I think that's actually going to be a huge factor here.
Definitely is, and you know, in a best-of-7 with all the different maps, well, there's just a lot of different strategies you have to bring to the table in the draft for every series. But let's find out what maps are banned out and what map we'll be starting on for the best-of-7. All right, Dragonshire and Tomb have been taken out of the mix, with Sky Temple being the first map of the series.
Interesting. Okay, that's definitely not what I thought we were going to see. You know, usually you see the high volatility maps being banned out, but you know, maybe it's the Braxis, maybe it's the Volskaya, something like that. But Dragon and Tomb, that's definitely a little bit different than what I'd expect.
Welcome to Sky Temple, as we go right on in to the draft for this series. Now, King's Gambit is a pretty interesting story when you look at them as a team, because they barely made it to the Open Division playoffs, which is how you get here to the Crucible. They actually, in the final cup of the season, they had to place first or second in order to get enough points to make it into playoffs, and they did that. They got second. But going into playoffs, they crushed it. I mean, they won the winner's bracket over EID, and then they 4-0 swept the grand finals over XD, the team that we saw yesterday. So there's not as much information to scout them, but what really brought them to the power they're at now?
I'm honestly not even 100% sure. What I think is a huge testament to them rising in power is probably the addition of Zergling. You know, just a huge powerhouse. We heard him speaking in that video there. He's an extremely smart player, very good player. I believe he does most of their shot calling and drafting and stuff like that. So he's just he's a huge member of that team. Yeah. And it really just ties in the team for me. And then obviously Droplets, one of, I think, amateur division's best carries.
He's so good at the game. Well, taking a look at the draft, we have the Jaina ban,
which is huge, right? Because Kevin, you know, and this is kind of, I wanted to talk about this real quick. No Tomorrow, they're just straight up target banning here, and I think this is going to be very powerful, especially when it comes to morale in the early stages of this series. You ban off the Jaina, and then it's saying, hey, Kevin, what are you going to do now?
Yeah, they will early pick Jaina. This is something they did a lot in playoffs, in the grand finals over XD. They will pick Jaina in the first rotation, and they're like the only team doing that. So it's a nice respect ban. Garrosh, obviously very strong first pick there for No Tomorrow. Then the Malf Hanzo follow-up.
And that's basically the combination that King's Gambit used, right? It was the Garrosh, and we said he was like the pseudo-support. You know, Kevin would step up so far as the Jaina, and he'd just get into the frayed away, you know, lots of aggressive play from the Jaina. So I love what No Tomorrow's doing with this draft so far. He's got the first pick, Garrosh, the 2 and 3, Dahaka and Greymane. So we're going to have the Dahaka on Sky Temple. Having a global on this map is incredibly powerful just because of the way that the map mechanic works. I'm loving No Tomorrow's opener so far. This is fantastic from them.
Agreed 100%. This is exactly the way they want to be, not only approaching their draft, getting the global, getting the power, but denying the impactful things that we saw out of King's Gambit here in the playoffs. But, you know, King's Gambit was talking about how they have influence from the Korean scene and how they have some other, they're not limited, right?
No.
Although Garrosh and Jaina, heroes they love to have, there's still some great options available on the table, and I'm curious where the global situation is going to land here. Will they go for the Abathur style play? We mentioned how good they are with Genji. They ban it out instead. But they already have Hanzo, Genji, Hanzo kind of weird together.
What's something that we've seen King's Gambit do is actually flex onto the Falstad when they're in need of a global. We've seen Kevin play that hero as well. I wonder if that's something that they're going to decide to do. You know, you're against the Greymane. It can be kind of scary if you're playing Falstad, especially if that's the go for the throat. You know, he can chunk you out very easily. But the Greymane, or the Falstad into Dahaka matchup is actually quite favorable, but instead they decide to go with the Sonya. And I like the tanky style composition that King's Gambit's going.
And they're very good with the Sonya. They actually play it a lot as well. So I don't think they're too upset about the Blaze ban. I mean, Blaze is, you know, having the bunker, obviously an amazing asset. But these two tanks together will give them a lot of good control in that percent damage versus Garrosh, which is fantastic, giving them that response. And just the burst with those two, you got the arrow to set it up, Apocalypse, lots of power potential, but Stukov getting grabbed with Tychus.
Okay, so we got Tychus. Tychus an excellent response, and there it is. Okay, so they are doing this double style of a solo laner, you know, the Falstad and the Sonya here. What I love to see is the Tychus against the Sonya and the Diablo. So a lot of percent damage for those heavy health pools in those two heroes. I think that's an excellent pickup for them. I like both of these drafts. They're very just, it's very King's Gambit, very No Tomorrow.
I honestly wouldn't give anyone the edge. I say this is 50-50.
Me too.
Great draft on both teams. And a great start for the series, honestly, because you know, it's cool to have the team that we know less about in King's Gambit, where they again, they weren't one of the teams we were watching throughout. We've cast open division for months and months now, and they were not the one we were expecting to make it here to the Crucible. But when we watched them play in the playoffs, we're just like, oh my.
Yeah. They were so impressive. Like, they absolutely just completely came online. Like, they were just very different from what we saw beforehand, and it must be the addition and just like changes in their team. But yeah, I absolutely loved what they ended up showing at the finals and grand finals. There's a fantastic team, and of course, you know, being in the scrim environment, seeing them there too, they're doing very, very well against top tier HGC teams.
Dude, that is so exciting to hear. And, well, you know what? I just can't wait to see them play. So let's get going into Sky Temple for our Best of 7 series. Everything is on the line. The life of No Tomorrow in HGC, or the new birth of King's Gambit. We have Jay Shrute loading in here onto the Tychus. Tomster's going to be playing the Stukov. We have Jin playing in here on Garrosh. Casanova will be on that Greymane and Equinox, riding at the team on Dahaka.
And on the right in red is King's Gambit. We got Kevin on Falstad, Toby playing that Malfurion, Droplets on the Hanzo, Diesel playing Diablo here, and Zergling on that Sonya. All right, Sonya's tough as nails in this matchup. It's hit or miss, right? You're against the Tychus, so very rapid damage, but still, you kind of want to be able to block that the Greymane with his auto attack. So I kind of do like it. It could have gone really either way with Warpaint.
Yeah, good point. Definitely can make the difference. You know, you got the mouth healing too. That's going to be really nice just for a little bit of additional sustain in the early half. Let that trickle through when it comes to the team fights. Overall, you know, when you have Sonya, it gives you the ability to grab a lot of nice mercenary camps early, especially when you have Falstad as your global in the top lane. So oftentimes you would see Sonya picked to be your solo laner, but Falstad can definitely flex that position against a Dahaka in a situation like this. Just kind of make sure you soak the minions and don't let Dahaka push too hard or anything. But play it safe at the same time, because if you step out, well, Greymane will, or Garrosh, anything will become an issue.
Even though we slightly discussed it a little bit earlier, if anybody doesn't know, Jin, the new member on No Tomorrow, actually came from an amateur team, XD.
Yep.
So right now what we're seeing actually is these two quote-unquote amateur players matching up on the tank position. And to me, that's really exciting, you know, because Jin entering the HGC, he really hasn't been in the HGC for too long. So you could even just...
6 weeks, maybe?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could still kind of consider him in the edge of like being an amateur player still, even though he's not, of course. But you know what I mean.
Right.
It's just cool to see these two warriors match up. And that's one of the things that I want to focus on during this series.
Definitely, you know, great to see just the talent getting scouted by some of the HGC teams like Jin, because he's a very talented player. And, you know, No Tomorrow, although they are here in the Crucible, with his addition, they've slowly been getting better, looking stronger, finding their stride. Jin is a very, very active tank. He covers the rotations. He knows how to pressure and punish. And it's fantastic watching him play. Good pressure onto this top lane. While we have Dahaka in the bottom and Falstad in the mid, the Foreman defense attempted, but of course, just that silence of Stukov makes it so risky to step through that choke point.
Not enough resources allocated to the Bruiser camp for King's Gambit, so they took it in more time than No Tomorrow, and No Tomorrow were able to step up. They had their Greymane and Stukov rotate with the Garrosh, and they were able to take this entire wall. So kudos to them. Better rotation from No Tomorrow in this early game. I'm not sure exactly what equated bottom, because King's Gambit did have the Falstad down there with that siege camp, able to take or do a little bit of siege damage down here, but nothing really noteworthy. So the trade's certainly going in favor of No Tomorrow.
Yeah, the experience speaks for itself. A little bit of an edge getting that wall down the top lane, and if they decide to sit on that top temple, well, naturally that will earn them a fort, getting the entire thing. Hanzo's going the W build this game. Well, that'll be fun to watch and see the impact it can have. Diesel finds the flip, but gets tossed by Garrosh. Tomster, however, is the target that was flipped, so he will die. Diesel will spend his life in doing so. Yeah, he's pretty low on souls right now. Not super tanky, but Zergling caught by the Q of Garrosh and sent into the Netherrealm.
Not willing to spend that fly as a resource. We saw Kevin just sitting mid, and he actually missed most of the minion wave in his rotation mid there. So King's Gambit with a little bit of a misplay, trading the 2 kills for 1. So not really up on that one, but still okay in terms of experience.
Yeah, it's nothing terrible right now, but you see the mid-temple is currently going unnoticed as they want to put additional resources into the top to try to deny the destruction of that top tower, or the top fort. It's a lot of experience that your enemy team would get, surging them forward, and couldn't be an issue in this, mid-temple phase if that was to happen. We do see Diesel able to gain control of this position, and again, mid has not been touched.
Top contest for both of these teams, as you mentioned. If No Tomorrow are able to take this shrine it's this temple in its full capacity, it will take the fort, but and that one is being chunked down. Level 7's here for No Tomorrow too, so King's Gambit not willing to really contest on there. We see that rotation mid onto the mid temple, just start to get those shots rolling in. I want to see what's going to happen in this global matchup. So because right now we haven't seen any sort of the Brush Stalkers or the Flies committed from either of these teams. Yeah,
very passive play so far. I mean, Equinox just making sure he can soak effectively while this temple is now being started. Actually almost completed at this point. Sony gets stunned. The silence is down and becoming an issue. Malfurion does find the heal from Itobi. Diesel in the front does have a flip. Actually, Chatter charges forward. First supply is here for the additional sustain for this team. Level 7 talent helping Malfurion get that cleanse for his allies to back away. And they will concede the rest of this temple. Oh, maybe not. Tapping the well. Re-engaging.
Pretty even skirmish, but both these teams just feeling each other out right now. The silence going down. Diesel looking really deep for Tomstar, but he is a little bit caught. He manages to get away, but the toss on to Zergling, and he's in a lot of trouble. It ends up going down.
Garrosh so clean, just holding on to that toss. The moment Sony comes in, just punishing. Now Diablo dragged by Dahaka. Both tanks. That was just so patient and clean from No Tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely an overcommit from King's Gambit. That Shadow Charge really put Diesel a little bit too deep in that exchange. And now No Tomorrow, they have the minion wave. They push it up and they have focus on this mid fort. So No Tomorrow willing to take whatever they can off of the 2 kills that they got.
Which is plenty. I mean, we were just looking at a dead even game, but that's a situation where not only did they get the 3 kills during this temple phase, but they also got probably 75% of the tower progress overall. Maybe a little bit less. Regardless, level 10 advantage will be nice for them. We do see these giants being cleaned up quickly before they do too much, but the options to do anything on the map, I mean, what is the ideal right now for them?
For King's Gambit?
Yeah.
Right now, they honestly just have to soak. Top is going to be difficult because the Watchtower is taken by No Tomorrow, so Falstad extends a little bit too deep with members missing that there's nothing that they can really do. King's Gambit just have to concede this boss as well. Get mid soak, get bottom soak, see what they can do. Top side likely not going to be able to score a kill onto Equinox. Taking this tower means that Kevin can step up deeper though, so that's also good that King's Gambit were able to pick up the top soak. They just got to get 10. That's it.
Yeah, half a level. Sonya could start the Knights if she pleases, but of course this boss will be doing a fair bit of damage. Fortunately, Hanzo's full W build, and that'll make quick work of any PvE situation. So that does give them a bit of a resource for some of these fights, but
this boss is getting so much value for No Tomorrow. They're going to be able to step up and completely zone off King's Gambit for a little bit here. And meanwhile, mid-wave was pushed in for King's Gambit, so a little bit of a loss for No Tomorrow. And that's quite the substantial wave. Not going to be able to pick up all of that experience. But No Tomorrow, this is a structural-based map. So if you're able to close out those forts and close out those walls, then that means that if you sit on these temples, you just get closer and closer to getting yourself a keep. Kevin? Ooh. Isolation was actually missed there, so a little bit of a win for King's Gambit.
Yeah, small victories. They'll have this pressure in the top lane during the bottom phase, so that's also another victory for them, but they are down 1.5 levels, and with Isolation down, that makes Dahaka's rotation obviously less scary. They might not commit fully to the rest of this and just kind of concede the rest of it. Oh, the arrow does whiff as I think they thought they had the lockdown, but
which is uncharacteristic of Droplets. But speaking of that usage of the ability, my biggest problem with the series yesterday was I felt that the Amateur Division team wasn't willing to just spend the cooldowns and try to get the picks. Right now, King's Gambit have a huge playmaking tool in the Dragon's Arrow, and then the Apocalypse to follow up.
Okay, the silence has been used here for Stukov, so that's a big resource. He's keeping it as long as he can, but as Diablo goes around the back, that flank is too much of a threat for Tomster. The target ends up being Garrosh here. Flailing Swipe used to keep him alive, and here comes the Odin, but behind is the fall side with the Gust available. Gust them all into the corner. Shadow Charge into the wall. This could be a kill onto the Garrosh, but Malfurion is down first, and now a double as the rotation of Casanova in the back is providing just too much threat, and Odin is unchallenged.
That fort being left up was a problem. Droplets was on the backside of that fight that entire time. I'm not sure if a single auto attack went out onto Garrosh, and now Diesel caught too far up, gets dragged, and No Tomorrow cleaning up this map. 7 kills to 1. Bruiser Camp pushing top side. They've got their level level 13s, they are absolutely dominating in this game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they had the Apocalypse engage, right? And usually the Apocalypse engage is going to be enough to kill someone like Garrosh or anyone, and, you know, but Flailing Swipes was perfectly cast, seeing that moment. He just got away and denied the kill, like, just outright. That was it.
Very, very well played by Tomster. Indeed, 13s need to be found by King's Gambit, but where is their experience? Mid is pushed up quite far. You know, Dahaka will push this one in, so that's kind of convenient. But next to Temples, as you see on the mini map there, so it's going to be top or mid top.
Mid and bottom, yep.
Mid, yeah. I'm always used to saying mid top. I don't know why. Mid and bottom, of course. And globals on either side. So I think King's Gambit, they just need to spend their global and find a team fight. They've got the APOC, they've got the Dragon's Arrow.
If the Dragon Arrow was available in that last fight, maybe it looked different.
Yes.
Maybe that was going to be the Garrosh kill. So there's a lot of like little things that could have been different, of course. And you know, maybe they didn't commit to the Gust and just backed away when they saw the Flailing Swipe have so much impact. But it's really hard to judge that, I feel, in the moment.
Yep, no, you're absolutely right. There's also the combo of Mighty Gust into the Twilight Dream, so that's something we have to be paying attention to as well. But no, tomorrow
Is this
they
the first
have
Twilight
the
of the tournament for us in North America? I think it's always been Tranquility.
We saw one yesterday on I think on Towers of Doom. I remember you saying Twilight.
Right.
Yep. But yeah, not as frequent. And here we go. No tomorrow. They know that their opponents are going to be looking for a fight, and they just immediately split top. They get some of this wall, so nice rotation by them. Just a little bit quicker than their opponents right now. And look at Equinox just backing up off on that Dahaka, just playing safe.
I do like the way they approach this. So they only committed false end to the back because they know that just by showing someone, they should play safe. And then they tried to get positioning onto the mid temple. They did concede bottom, so this is all 5 members in the mid lane. 13 versus 15. That's the cleanse being cast by Itobi. The arrow comes out with Apocalypse. And is that enough damage to focus the Garrosh? Yep. Yes, they find the kill. Zergling's getting quite low with a whirlwind. And the sustain from Malfurion. Beautiful gust to just kind of separate the fight and allow the Malfurion healing to come back online. Tomster secluded and blown up here. So this is a 3v5. The drag onto Diablo. Not too much of a threat as we do have 100 souls for him, but the Odin is doing a lot of damage.
So what's curious to me is the fact that No Tomorrow actually found the drag. They looked for a fight when they're so close to 16 and they have a global. They could have very well just pushed out bottom lane, maybe just sat on that temple a little bit, split the resources of King's Gambit, but they got a bit ambitious there. They looked for the fight when they didn't have the talent tier advantage. And that's something that No Tomorrow have to be careful of. King's Gambit found their way into this game with that team fight. Those kills are feeling good for King's Gambit.
And that was, I mean, the big difference there to me just was Dragon's Arrow was available.
Yes.
So the focus on Garrosh was clean, right? They did it again. They said, we're just going to go for Garrosh. We're going to kill him, and that's going to be that.
Gust is up.
And beautifully done. A nice Diablo flips. This is going to be good pressure onto the Dahaka. The roots are just exactly where they need to be. Cleansing so they can step forward. Big plays getting that kill on Dahaka there.
This is the King's Gambit that we were talking about. Now, this is when they're coming online. They take this boss, just a fast call there. They had the Gust as well available in case the members of No Tomorrow push in. But now 16s are coming in very soon for King's Gambit. This is a wide open game.
They're so willing to just raw engage like this with the arrow or with the shadow charge, and so close to getting that flip. If we saw Jin get flipped there, that was a kill, and that could have been a keep. But big deal, keeping him alive, and that will vastly help their defense of this boss.
Yep. Boss quite low now. Diesel actually getting tossed in, taunted, and he's definitely going to go down here. But he's got souls. He's going to be on his way back, but he will be substantially squished here.
Yep. You know, just the power of Curse Bullet shining through there. Diablo just melted.
It's the Gust, just to make sure Itobi can get away. You know, the brotherly love there, if you will.
This is like such a fun game because they're just kill the tank,
Jin.
right? Kill Jin or kill Diablo and feel good about yourself.
This is bad.
Zergling actually going in on Tomster. This is actually their best result. Shadow Charge in with the Apocalypse. The safety throw from Jin onto Equinox. That will be Garrosh body blocked away from his team. Zergling quite low in the back. Here comes the Odin with a lot of damage from behind. Zergling is the focus, but the roots actually force the Odin to rotate around and greatly slowing him down.
Zergling taking the spear in there and then just immediately saying, no, thank you, I'm trying to get out. Almost gets in a bit of trouble there, but King's Gambit, they find another kill with their 16s, but worth mentioning the fact that No Tomorrow, they won in like the HP trade there. So they have the temple, it's pushing bottom side, but Kevin immediately rotating top, picking up a fort for his team.
Yeah, no, that's gonna really keep the XP, actually bring it back into an even focus. We see the arrow to engage. Tomster is the focus here, flipping and pushing him back. Only 10 souls onto Diesel right now, so it's hard for him to stay alive and maintain that front line. Falstad getting in position to fly down with the Gust, just about ready here. Shadow Charge in, Equinox will have the Burrow available. Flailing Swipes has been used to disengage, and Falstad has arrived. Looking for that gust, finding onto 2. The beautiful shadow charge in. Casanova is low. Jeshite is low. They both will fall here. And now we have everyone from King's Gambit marching forward in this bottom lane.
No Tomorrow were stepped up so far without Jin, and they saw Falstad leave top lane. He rotates in mid, finds the gust. King's Gambit absolutely turned this game around. Now they take control over this bottom temple, which has bottom keep focus. They have the siege camp. They're taking enemy siege camp. So King's Gambit, to me, they are playing much tighter as a team, because this is twice now that No Tomorrow disrespected at a numbers disadvantage.
And it feels like they're just consistently saying, okay, we're going to engage right now. Just kill this target. And it looks easy, the way they're doing it, with the arrow, with the shadow charge. And this is their way. They're like the willingness to fight constantly down 2 levels, always looking for the opportunity to just fight.
Yep.
I love it.
But No Tomorrow, they're not out of, they're not, too far behind at this point. And in fact, it's a very even game, because the biggest part, the fact that no keeps went down in that exchange. Still, experience advantage, a full level lead for King's Gambit, so they're certainly on their way to level 20. The invasion of No Tomorrow's Bruiser Camp is here for King's Gambit, so they're going to take that one, likely be able to escape as well. They've got Falstad to fly up and gust if needed, but they're staying top.
Oh, they have double Night Camp.
Yep.
Like, this is such a push opportunity, because you're forcing 5 members to top. Falstad can push out bottom. Pushing bottom just a little bit gets you a keep. And top lane with double Knights, you can just safely posture and apply enough pressure to earn yourself this keep, which is going to make a huge difference in the long run for this level 20 pickup and control.
Falstad needs to make sure he gets this.
So
like
close.
Ooh, the lightning rod needed to come out. He actually just had to focus on that keep, because that was an excellent opportunity. You painted the picture perfectly. Those bruisers were actually just a faux push. They just wanted members of No Tomorrow to be represented top, so that Kevin on this Falstad had that opportunity to take the keep, but not quite found. It might have even been worth it to just spend the gust for it.
Or yeah, maybe not die, but anyways, keeps are a big deal though, and saving that is a monstrous victory here for the side of No Tomorrow. We do see the map is very red, with all those mercenary camps being stolen aggressively by King's Gambit.
20s en route here for King's Gambit. Mid and top are the temple locations, but look at this. Yeah, look at this. This is a huge rotation. But can't the dig come out? They just showed on the minion wave. Yep.
Okay. So Equinox will dig away. This means Falstad needs to be super careful as well, because they just lost the watchtower. They don't really have information on everyone on the side of No Tomorrow right now, so Falstad's playing very passively as a result.
I really think that King's Gambit could have rotated sharper in order to find that gank, but they just weren't sure where the minion wave was at, I believe. But here we go. No Tomorrow. They know that members are represented bottom side. Are they just on boss instead? Yeah, it looks like it. So they're just willing to death push bottom. If this is a boss in Siege Camp, No Tomorrow have to respond to this. Level 20 is very, very close for King's Gambit.
Man, this is hard to engage into. The gust is a problem. They do finally flip onto Diesel. Apocalypse will be used with the Shadow Charge. The Dragon might be enough for the kill.
The arrow!
But Hellgate! Diablo is alive, level 20. Escaping the clutches with that Hellgate. The Dragon onto Sonya, but Zergling slipping away as we have the continuous wins, pushing No Tomorrow away.
This was an absolutely incredible play by King's Gambit. Diesel showing the instant lock of that Hellgate, teleporting away. They have the boss, they have the siege camp. It's going to take this keep for King's Gambit, and now they have control over both of these temples. This is a huge swing in momentum for King's Gambit.
This is basically full control of the map. They're going to have, I mean, we already saw the damage done from the Night Camp in the top lane to weaken that, so this means it's basically going to be all 3 keeps, either dead or nearly dead.
Top. Focus, getting that keep down. Mid also looking good for King's Gambit. No Tomorrow, they have to find their level 20s. Their keep is actually taking some damage here, down to 90%. Siege Camp moving in too. So they're actually willing to take some of this damage. Equinox trying to clear this wave.
Yeah, that's a problem. The 3 Giants hanging out, threatening. Of course, the Haka can brush her up. They just got level 20, so this is when they can fight. Falstad doesn't want, one little tick left that does give you those final shots at the end. Not going to be enough to kill the keep anyways in the mid lane. So, you know what? Just safe to back away.
Yep. King's Gambit, they have their eye on the prize. Objective focus at this point. The burden of finding a team fight and winning a team fight is now on No Tomorrow, because if King's Gambit are able to just play their resources properly, they're so far up ahead in terms of structures on this map, and that's how you can close out the game. So King's Gambit are feeling really good right now, and they have a huge disengage tool in the Mighty Gust. Look at this positioning.
One thing I just want to really highlight about this is they were 2 levels behind earlier in this game, and there was never a moment where they looked hesitant or nervous. They've just played at a simple, streamlined state, looking confident, knowing they can
The
always
A-block
win.
to stall!
That is huge, slowing every single member from their hearth. This could be game.
They'll also have a Gust. All members of No Tomorrow need to focus on the core. The Gust can't come out. What a cheeky play from King's Gambit. Here it comes. Gust is going to show up right now. All members of King's Gambit on the core, and GG. Game number 1 going over to King's Gambit. What an excellent macro decision. Holy mackerel.
Are you not entertained, HGC? That is the flavor and the flair of this team, King's Gambit. Like, I love those plays, right? Apocalypse, it's global. You don't often see it used that way to just stop all the hearts. And it was like, it's like, oh, this is how it's always been. We're gonna Apoc you when you try to hearth. We're gonna Gust you. We're gonna end the game. Easy.
I am so hyped right now. I feel like I've been drinking green tea all day. Like, that was such a great play. Like, it was fantastic. That was so well calculated. You know, they were saying it in their comms. They're like, just push bottom. They position bottom side. They weren't seen on the minion wave. Kevin pushes up, and then they're just, we're going to use APOC to stall, follow up with the Gust. Perfect execution. Fantastic play by King's Gambit. And they did it from behind, too.
Yeah, I want to reiterate. They were down 2 levels. You know, it was like, I think, level 13 to 15 or something like that. The new Talonteers willing to just go and grab the fights. Big plays on everyone. That level 20 fight around the boss was one of the cleanest fights we've seen this weekend. Just beautiful execution. I thought Diablo died. I'm like, where did he go? Oh, Hellgate, snap locking it, getting out of harm's way. So well done. You know what? I want to see it again.
Yeah, let's have a look at it. So that was such a fantastic play, for sure. So looking here, No Tomorrow, if we just pause real quick to consider the context. Level 20's so very close, as we can see here, the experience, but so close for King's Gambit. But if we just roll a little bit slower here, No Tomorrow, they realize it too late, and they come down and look at Diesel. He positions forward, and this is what we have to focus on. Look at this damage going into Diesel. He gets the APOC, here's the stun, and watch, level 20's here, instant lock of the Hellgate. Watch this, teleports out, finds the boss, finds the play. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an amateur team, and they are looking so hot.
And again, Diesel is a very young player. He knows what he's doing. If that arrow wasn't there from Hanzo for the massive stun.
Beautiful.
There's so many little things that had to happen in an instant to save that Diablo and turn that into a monstrously favorable situation. No one died, but they secured the boss, which gave them full control of the map and eliminated the bottom keep. Some team fights aren't about killing your opponent. They're about just gaining control, and that was checkmate.
Yeah, it
King's
was,
Gambit.
Oh, nice. There we go. The chess terms, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, no, it was absolutely fantastic. And the biggest part, like we've talked about it already, but the fact that King's Gambit showed reserve, they showed patience. You know, they were playing from behind. And you said it yourself, because King's Gambit, they had an option, right? They were losing in the early game, so they had the option to play safe.
Yeah.
And teams will fall into that void.
Yesterday, when XD was behind, they were just playing afraid. Right? Like straight up, like waiting for this dream situation to show up, and a ton of teams are like that. Eventually they turned up the heat, but King's Gambit's coming in just feeling good. You can tell.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest part for me, even though that Dragon Arrow missed bottom side, the willingness to spend that heroic to try to find the fight was what was paramount to me. Because I'm like, this is different. The fact that they're even just sending the Dragon's Arrow means that they're looking for these fights. Send it. Let's go.
Yeah, just send that arrow.
Right now, I know it. It's a firewall.
All right, let's find out what map we're going to for the next game, because these guys are ready to rock.